Hello. Hello, Neo. Do you want to learn the secrets of the Matrix? Yep. I told you I'm going to the loony bin too with you, bro. I don't give a frick. I'll go to the loony bin too with you, bro. Were you brushing your teeth? No. Mr. Anderson, I'm going to enjoy watching you die. Mr. Anderson. I don't know what it is, but as I get older, I hate having things like it really just became a big problem having like food stuck in your teeth. Like it didn't bother me as much when I was younger, like brush my teeth and stuff, right? But now I'm like, no, nope, hate it. It didn't bother me. It didn't bother me when I was younger. It bothers the hell out of me now. Like I can't stand it. No, get that the hell out of my teeth. Must stop whatever. Dude. Okay, cool. It's not just me. I take great solace in that. I take great solace in that. Oh, it's not just me. Oh God, I thought I was nuts. Cool. All right. Cool. That's good. That makes me feel a little bit better. Oh, popcorn's the worst, Grab. Yeah. Popcorn, apple skin. Oh, yeah. Rice. Just gets stuck everywhere. Nope. Dude, I have toothpicks everywhere. Okay, cool. All right. That's not just me. That just, you don't know how happy that just made me. Uncle Roger does not approve of this rice hate. Isn't it Uncle Ben? Or is there an Uncle Roger too? I don't know. So Sleepy, I got a water pick, guys. I have like it's like that thing at the dentist that shoots high pressure water into your teeth. It gets everything out, dude. You do that, floss. You bought a Swiss Army knife just for the toothpick, not gonna lie. All right, cool. I'm really happy that that's not just me. I'm really happy that that's not just me. All right, cool. Let's do this. So we're designing a Centaur G today. Yeah, exactly. I don't have a Sonic here, but I think Bremo and I got quips, I think. G is for gangster, that's right. Like, I don't know why it never bothered me when I was a kid. Oh, it bothers the hell out of me now. Just one day I was like, oh my God. I got something stuck in my teeth. Oh, no. Like, it was weird. A switch just flipped. Hi, I know how you feel about mod recommendations. Oh, here it comes. But I found this yesterday. It basically just fixes some of the bugs and makes the game more stable, and it has a lot of quality of life stuff. Robotics drift? See, Theix. Okay. Here's the thing, dude. I'm not against mods. I'm not against doing this, right? Sure it's not part of your mustache? It might be, Element. It might. You become aware of your teeth. I don't know, man. Strange thing. So, robotic drift, Docking port rotation drift, auto strut drift. Module index mismatching would be really nice. That would be really nice to fix. This is all good stuff. This is all good stuff. Honestly, it's very good. But this also quite literally means that every single thing that I've ever engineered in Kerbal is now useless. Think about it. It's useless. And I'm definitely not using them in mission mode, right? I'd have to go re-engineer everything. Why? Because physics changes. Just launch it. Just launch what? What do you want me... What do you want me to launch? All the features can be toggled. Yeah, cool. Start the day off right. Okay. Hey, Sneaky. I mean... Okay. Block 1.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Go to throttle up from Fox Juppy. Hey, how you doing? Oh, I mean, all right. We could do another simulation flight. Of course it is, Jim. You redeemed garage stretch, what do you want me to do? Launch or go to the garage? I don't understand. I always said the shuttle needed more test flights. Yeah, no, I'm not against it. I don't know where the volume for KSP is set. Okay, it's set at a reasonable volume. Sophia's going to Pima. All right. Kill it with fire, Creeper. That's cool. Ian, I'm happy it's going to go to Pima. Rather that than it sit in a junkyard somewhere. Okay. Sound suppression water system is activated. T-minus 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. Go for main engine start. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. Boosters at ignition! That thing really likes breaking off the rails, and I don't like it. Go for roll program. Actually, you know what? Let's try something a little fun. While we're here. Roll program complete. Roger, roll. Systems looking good. Stand by for maximum dynamic pressure. Are you sure you can land this way? Yeah. I mean, we're testing. Might as well check. Mazel. Okay, we're right down the track at 45. Okay. What's that black dot on the ground? It's the shadow. The Parallax or Scatterer or Eve or whatever, whichever visual pack we're using, I forget which one it is, has some weird shadow effects with my graphics card. No, Spiffy, not really. Everything's looking real good on this ascent, though. I just really, yeah, want to make sure that the shuttle can go into an inclined orbit. I don't know if we'll be able to go polar once around, but I'm pretty sure this shuttle can do it with a light enough payload. Thrust tailing off and SRB standing by for separation. Separation confirmed. 103 converge. Jim, we went and for like 3 or 4 days, we studied an SRB separation profile, and I wanted those to be as accurate as possible. That step is about as close as it's as close as I can get right now with my current skill set. It's called Broken Spectre, and it's a real phenomenon. Oh wow, phenomenon. Do 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 do. Phenomenon. Do 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 do. Ah, ready. Go for your worm. Still rotates too fast? Ah, well, that's your opinion. Well, that's just like your opinion, man. How many hats do I have? Dude, I get hats all over the place. You saw me buy one, remember? I bought you one? No, you don't remember that? Why are you doing this? Stop it. Stop doing this. Stand by, press for Miko. I went a little far. Miko confirmed. Main engine shut down. Standing by for separation. Got a good separation from the ET confirmed. Do you have an edible Rocket Lab hat? No. No, I don't. Okay, shuttle, no ohms 1 required. Welcome to space. Okay, let's ride the SRBs down. This is just a simulation flight, King. Somebody, Wheatley retrieved, just launch it. So, we just launched it. Oh man, where's the other SRB? Oh man. Oh, it deleted itself. Okay, drogue chute inflate. We're out of comms. Oh, we went out of range. We went out of KSC's SOI. Damn. Well, that's so much for that. Headphone users. You have 5 seconds to comply. Sometimes Kerbal overdrives the sound when stuff hits the water. Oh well. Says no ohms 1 while burning no. While burning ohms 1? Do you know what the orbiter maneuvering system is, Jim? These things. Those are the orbiter maneuvering. The RCS is different. The RCS is different, you numbskull. The hell's the matter with you? Okay. I am being excellent. I'm just Jim. I'm being a New Englander. Don't mind me. I'm speaking the native dialect to Jim. Frickin' moron. The RCS isn't the ohms thruster, you idiot. What the hell's the matter with you? Why don't you go look at the stars or something? Look, see all the stars up there? Got your head in the frickin' clouds or something there, guy. That wasn't bad, right? It's a shuttle. It's a midge. Bless your heart. Oh. Jim, you see that guy over there? Bless your heart. What, does he want to marry you or something? Open the cargo bay doors. You open the cargo bay doors when you're on orbit. We're not on orbit yet. Bro. Jim, you grew up with the shuttle. What the hell's the matter with you? Kid guy at the end of every sentence. You shut up there, guy. One last simulation before the real deal. Actually, Ivan, someone retrieved just launch it. So, Wheat retrieved just launch it. So, I just launched it. But I decided, you know, if we're just going to launch it, we will use, I'll use this time to try to see the shuttle's inclined orbit capability. Are you doing a once around? To be 100% honest with you, I don't think I can do a once around with this. By the time we get back, well, no, Jim, I would like to test out a regular trajectory. Nah, sorry, I don't want to do that. We've all run the simulations. They're tough, but they ain't invincible. Stay with the Master Chief. He'll know what to do. You hit, Marine? Then listen up. When I joined the Corps, we didn't have no fancy smancy tanks. We had sticks. 2 sticks and a rock for a whole platoon. And we had to share the rock. Buck up, boy! You're one very lucky Marine. I will never not quote Halo 2. Mitch. Message just keeps saying regret, regret, regret. Catchy. Any idea what it means? Dear humanity, we regret being alien bastards. We regret coming to Earth, and we most definitely regret the Corps just blew up our raggedy ass fleet. Is the loss of signal plan? No ground station up here. Thanks. He never gets me anything. Oh, I know what the ladies like. No, that was too much EJ, not enough Sergeant Johnson. Oh, I know what the ladies like. Buenos días, Jota. Buenos días, Nefodia. ¿Cómo estás? Sometimes I'm not sure what's a Halo quote and what's from Red versus Blue. You see these RCS? They look like tusks. And what kind of animal has tusks? Did not tell you to stop making up imaginary animals. You need the cigar and it'll be complete? Yeah. Say it in Bill Nelson's voice. Well, the other day I was having some pudding and then I remembered that I launched on the space shuttle one time in 1986. It was a glorious day. I know what the ladies like. That sounds like something else and we probably shouldn't say that again. The puma. Didn't I tell you to stop making up imaginary animals? Holmes 2. Those nozzles look like they dispense copious amounts of pudding, and the proof is in the pudding. So what I'm trying to tell you is that I eat rocket exhaust for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Donut was in the pink suit, man. Seriously, it's lightish red! Okay, we got nominal orbital insertion on the shuttle. Safing the OMS engines. Okay, we're gonna go for payload bay door open. Apollo 8 get mixed into that impression. It may have. Dot dash, you have to burn over your time of burn. So if you have a 30-second burn, burn at T-minus 15. So you equalize the burn over time. You get a much more precise insertion that way. So, like dot dash with, when you have a high TWR, it really doesn't matter. But if you want to get the most precise insertion, you want to be the most accurate to your maneuver node, half the node. If you have a 100 meter a second delta V burn that's going to take 2 seconds, don't try to half the node. Just burn when the node goes to 0. But if you have like a minute burn at T-minus 30, and you'll split the node, and you'll get a perfect insertion. Like, I was aiming, with that burn, I was aiming for 100 by 99. Or, well, basically 100 by 100. We're 100 by 99. It's perfect. Your insertions are gnarly? Yeah. The other thing that you got to take into account is that you can adjust You can adjust your AP. So did you watch that shuttle launch that I just did? You notice at the end of main engine cutoff, I compensated by pointing the shuttle down to get the right insertion. The reality of the situation is that I was pointed up for too long and my AP, my apogee started to go higher than 100. I don't want it to go higher than 100. So you can compensate. You compensate by pointing radial in. Radial in will push your AP further out, but it'll also push it down. Okay? And because you're pushing AP down, it'll actually push PE up. So I did that slight compensation right there to get a more accurate insertion. Another LDIF? Yeah, for the most part, Novaraptor. Correct. Exactly. I paid the price in fuel by not having a good insertion and having to burn radial in. Burning radial in is very inefficient. Why is it inefficient? Because you're going against the momentum of the vehicle wanting to go that way, okay? Think of it like a car trying to turn at high speed, okay? So think about like if you're going to a stop sign, right? And you need to take a left. You stopped. You stop and then you take a left. You don't try to go 100 miles an hour through that stop sign and take a left. You'll end up in someone's front lawn, right? Same idea. In order to burn, if you're burning off vector, all right, so off posigrade in any direction, it gets more inefficient the further you veer away from that. It gets more inefficient. This is why rockets. This is part of the reason why rockets do roll programs. They do roll programs when they go because they fly to different flight azimuths because they want to insert at an inclined orbit. So like if I wanted to get into this type of orbit that I'm in right here, this roughly 45 degree inclined orbit, we're at 42.1. If I wanted to get into this type of orbit, right, I wouldn't go equatorial first and then try to go into this orbit. Why? Because you're counteracting your momentum. You don't want to do that. You already accelerated in that direction and you want to go that way. So you don't go over there and then take a left, right? Rockets use that roll program because some rockets go into different inclinations, right? Like the shuttle could go into an orbit like this. It could go into a perfectly equatorial, well, not perfectly equatorial around Earth. It could go into a 27 degree inclined orbit, right? The shuttle could never get perfectly equatorial because they don't launch from the equator. Because once again, it's hard to take that left-hand turn in space. It's hard to take that left-hand turn in space, right? Or if you're going south, it's hard to take that right-hand turn in space. So yeah, you think about it, dude. This thing, how heavy is my shuttle? 65 tons with the payload. I have 65 tons going 2.2 kilometers a second in that direction, going that way. It takes a lot of energy to try and take that and go that way with it. You know what I mean? So that's called an out of plane is what it's called. Excuse me. I called it out of trajectory before. It's called an out of orbit phasing burn. Out of plane phasing burn. That's what it's called. Basically burning anywhere that's not prograde and retrograde. Prograde and retrograde are the most efficient because you're basically going directly with the current, I guess, your momentum, or you're going directly against it, which would be the most efficient way to slow down, right? Going directly against it. So yeah, that's all orbital mechanics, dude. It's long story short, it's hard to turn in space. You have no way to turn. The only way to turn is to hit the accelerator pedal in a different direction. You know what I mean? Accelerator pedal. It's not a car, but you get the idea. The crazy part is that not only like rockets do that roll program when they launch, some rockets, if the rocket is launching a lighter payload, will do that radial in burn to purposely dump fuel. A good example of this would be like Vega. Vega is a 4-stage SRB, small sat or medium duty rocket that the ESA operates. And their third stage, if they're launching a light payload, the third stage, it's solid. You can't really shut it off, right? So what that third stage will actually do is burn radial in to burn off the fuel because you're not as efficient, right? You're wasting fuel, but you are changing your trajectory. So you know, instead of like a liquid fuel engine getting to where it needs to go and then shutting it off and having some residual fuel, the SRB obviously can't do that, right? The SRB will fly up and it'll actually burn radial in to get the proper insertion, because if it just kept going in the right direction, it would blow right past the intended orbit. Watch a Vega launch next time, or watch a replay of a Vega launch. They'll turn the guidance computer will turn the thing down and it'll be burning towards Earth. It'll do a radial inburn to compensate. It's the exact same thing that I just did with my shuttle. Now the shuttle really never did that, but you get the idea. I use CKAN. Oh, yeah, Electron. Didn't put a payload on the shuttle? Like I said, we retrieved, just launch it, Hellfish. What do you want? So I just launched it. This is what you get when you just launch it. You know what I'm saying, man? I'm wondering if we can overcome that cross range right there. I don't know what you're talking about, Aqualex. I don't know what you're talking about. Hey, Violent. It's good to get some seat time with Collins here. I'm wondering how I'm going to get that trajectory back down. We're already way too far out of the cross-range capability of this vehicle. We're going to have to go around a couple of times, so we'll do some on-orbit operations and then we'll get into Centaur here. Okay, we're in trajectory. Okay, so what we'll do is we will unlatch the manipulator positioning mechanism pins. The manipulator positioning servos are unlocked. Next step here for for RMS operations here is to enable the MPM controller and position the arm for payload deploy. So servo power amplifier is on.
Throttle up.
Fuel cells are on. Phil, 47-month resub. What's up, dude? Nice view. Payload bay lights are on. Chief, how you doing? Okay. Manipulator positioning mechanism is in the outward position. We are going to disable the MPM at this time. And we will undo the latching pins for the RMS. You should see the RMS kind of a little bit right here. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yep. Okay, the stowing pins for the RMS are out. Good news, you have heat again. Oh. Well, that's good, Tessa. EJ, I saw this video last week. There is a 4th launch site just north of KSC at the Cove. Yeah, I knew about that. Sure. Do we know anything about the Dynetics lander design? The old one, RJ, but not the updated one, no. Okay, I'm just getting the arm out of the way because what I'm going to test here is doing this. Oh, I see. I put a detent in. See, this, you know what? It's probably good that we flew this. I put a detent in. The payload can't separate unless the arm's attached. Why do you make these complex hinges? Why not just a rotor and a hinge? Gives you all the articulation you need. Violent, I don't really understand the question. Because the answer to that question is because that's what I need. And I think it's kind of arrogant to think that you think you can come up with something simpler. You know what I mean? Do you know what this arm does? Or is it just some complicated thing that you don't understand? See what I mean? You don't know what this does. It looks complicated. Is it complicated? Do you know that for sure? I don't think there's launch on need with the commercial crew program, Toto, but don't quote me on that one. Violent, this arm, so okay, let me explain. This arm is, it's replicating the kinematics of NASA, like the complexity of NASA's robotic arm. That's NASA's robotic arm. I got a PDF out and we figured out how the thing works, and I have a control system. I implemented a control system that's very similar to the actual shuttles. And before somebody said, "Oh yeah, EJ, yeah, this is very similar to the actual shuttles." Check this out. Shuttle Operations Manual. Shuttle Operations Manual, page 700. Manipulator kinematics. Right here. That's at payload retention mechanisms. And there's the retention mechanisms. But you can go... Actually, it's up. Right there. See? There's your range of movement on the actual arm. The reason why I did this is because this was the system that NASA could use to build stations. And if I'm going to build a station like NASA, right? If I'm going to build one like NASA, it would be wise to have a system that NASA had to build a station. I'm going to build something kind of similar, but kind of not. NASA seemed to think that this right here, and they used it for 30 years, they seem to think that this right here was right. Was the right way to do it. That gives you enough dexterity in space. Violet, that's why. I could come up with very, very much simpler payload deployment systems. Sure, absolutely. Right? But if I want to build a station like NASA, it'd pay to use the same type of systems. You know what I mean? Now, don't get me wrong. If we were just deploying a payload, like deploying a satellite, sure, just rotate it up and send it. Not every payload from the space shuttle was needed the robotic arm to get out of the payload bay. That's what that next part of this manual says. The payload retention mechanisms. It's literally just a lock, like the lock that you'd put on a locker, like a padlock. It's just a padlock for payloads. Dude, NASA didn't even have a rotation mechanism for some things. They just undid the latches and then just moved the shuttle away. See what I'm saying? You make these things with the thermometer things. That's like adding a lot of parts. The thermometers are my latches. That's my padlock. That's as simple as you can get. I could just use a decoupler. We could just use a couple of struts. Sure. Absolutely. What if I'm taking a payload down, Violent? Think about it, dude. I'm not trying to be a jerk. Just think about it for a second. What if I need to bring a payload down? Run struts? We could run struts in EVA. That could work. But that's not a system that I can test down on the surface. It's not a system that I know is going to work. EVA strutting, I don't have a lot of experience in. I do have experience in this. And we could test this system on the ground. I could test it in the SPH to make sure that stuff's going to fit, right? I don't know if a Kerbal will be able to run a strut there. You're leaving it up to a chance, which is not a really good way to do spaceflight at all, right? I know this works. And I know this works really, really well, because the collider, you can't beat the colliders in the game. The colliders are something that stay constant. Now, Violent, here's the thing that's really going to cook your noodle. Check this out. See these parts right here? They're physics-less parts. Physics-less parts, they don't drift, they don't bend, and they rarely ever break. They're extremely strong. Those things are made, those thermometers and those RCS balls are made out of unobtainium. They are extremely strong. You ever crash a spaceship into the ground in Kerbal? What's left? The thermometers and a couple of cubic octag struts and maybe some RCS balls, because they never break. The things are well, they're not indestructible. They will break, but I know that these parts are really strong, and I know that hitboxes in the game, collisions in the game, are something that Kerbal does really well. Anybody that has crashed into a planet knows exactly what I'm talking about. So I use mechanisms that I know in the game that are the strongest ways of doing things to emulate real life. And then the whole idea is that I can use it for explanations like this and teach you guys how the real stuff actually works. And then, if we have the real stuff right here, we have something that's going to be pretty analogous to the real thing, so something that's like the real thing, we'll find ways to abuse it. And we find ways to break it. Does that make sense? Oh, this happened last night. Johnny Johnson died. That sucks. Respect. Did you wait until I put my hat back on? So you're saying that NASA made an arm that did not have a rotor with a hinge for articulation on the arm because it gives you 360-degree coverage? No, what I'm saying is that it absolutely did, and you just don't see it because you wrote this whole thing off as a complicated system. What do you think that is? See what I'm saying, man? The arm isn't needlessly complicated. This arm can reach anywhere on the shuttle. The only place that it can't reach is underneath the shuttle. Because when they designed the arm, NASA didn't really see the need for the arm to be able to reach underneath the shuttle. Why would you do that? How could they reach out and inspect the tiles after the Columbia disaster? Oh, good question. So, Toto, if you notice, I have my arm mounted on a cubic octag strut right here. See that? It's mounted on a cube. Note that I have another cube over there. Do you know why? And if you look at all my manipulator positioning mechanism mounts, I have an adjacent one on the starboard side of the payload bay. The reason why is that the shuttle could carry 2 arms if it really needed to. You could put 2 robotic arms in the shuttle payload bay. In fact, the controls mechanism for twin robotic arms was implemented basically from the start. Yeah, if you look at these diagrams of the controls mechanism, check that out. That's payload retention switches, hold on. Yes, you're seeing that right. They had an arm jettison mechanism. If the arm malfunctioned, they could just send it overboard. That's why it says guillotine there. Thermal lances do be like that. Station design is not finalized, no. That's the rotor braking mechanism. Parameter backup control. There's your joint select, backup control, joint selection. There's the heaters for the electronics on board the end effector right there. It's the A8U panel. Dang it, where are you? Bingo. Here we go. It was down a page from, or it's not A8U, it's A8L. Here it is. So, you have your remote manipulator system primary power. You can flip it up for primary, and then they have a backup power system. It's double power redundant, so you could get power from 2 sources there, from different fuel cells. So check this out. Remote manipulator system master select, port starboard. S1 is the off position. Shuttle could carry 2 arms. It was built into the system from the start. In fact, if you go look at a picture of the shuttle's payload bay, you look at the A8L panel, which is on the back side of the flight deck, that switch is right there. So check this out. There should be a mechanism here for the heaters. There's your MPM latching mechanism right there. See aft mid forward? Aft mid forward are the latches. Ready? Aft mid forward. See the latches right there? I'm using antennas as a latch plate. So, how does that answer your question? Did the shuttle carry another robotic arm to be able to inspect the tiles? No, it did not. It carried the OBSS, not Open Broadcasting Software. It carried the Orbiter Boom Sensor System. The OBSS is basically a selfie stick. What did they need for a heater on the arms? Fit, if I had to guess, they're just... If I had to guess, I'd have to go read the ops manual. It's probably just an intended, like a... an induced short to heat everything up. Not a short circuit, but they're probably running a lot of current through a wire to get it to heat up. That's my guess, but I'm probably wrong. That doesn't sound right. My electrical engineering is no good. So, Toto, check this out. It's a selfie stick for the shuttle. It's quite literally a big, long aluminum tube with 2 spots for a latching end effector, and then literally a camera on the end. Yeah, Sophia's going to Pima, RJ. Yep. MB Bob is heading out to the Hakuto R fairing recovery zone. So, the shuttle could take this, like, if you had a back scratcher, right? And put it behind you, and it would inspect the tiles that way. That's how they would inspect the tiles. They would literally just put this thing underneath the shuttle and just take pictures to make sure that the TPS was good. Frankly, the shuttle should have been flying with that from the start, but it's okay. Oh yeah, you can also hang astronauts off the end of it. The selfie stick was used for, this is during SDS-120. This is, SDS-120 is, I talk about it a lot on here. But 120 was amazing. So the shuttle... Hang on. I'm doing it the hard way. So, the shuttle got up to the station, right? And the ISS wasn't finished, obviously. But something went wrong with one of the solar panels when they opened up the array. One of the solar panels tore. You guys got to remember, these original solar arrays here, and most solar arrays up in space are literally about as thin as a piece of paper. Maybe construction paper at best. They don't need to be structural. Why do they need to be structural? It's in space. All you need is a mast for it, like a sail on a sailboat. Same idea. Literally the same idea. In fact, the solar panels actually generate drag because the ISS is skirting the upper parts of the atmosphere. True story. Yeah, these things do blow in the wind, so to speak. It's just not really enough to... I mean, it's a perturbing force, but it's the thrusters on the ISS can more than compensate for it, right? So, when they went up there, they docked to the space station, right? And on SDS-120, they had the OBSS. They had, because this is post-Columbia now, so they had the selfie stick. One of the solar panels tore. So what they did, the shuttle grabbed the OBSS out of the payload bay, and it has two grapple points on it. It handed off the orbiter boom sensor system to the space station remote manipulator. And then the space station remote manipulator went out here and extended the selfie stick with Scott Parazynski, an astronaut, on the end. And he went up there and literally duct taped the solar panel back together. Literally duct tape and zip ties. Not kidding. How long could the shuttle stay at the ISS? 2 weeks, Cody? 2 weeks. The fuel cells on the shuttle. The shuttle wasn't designed to stay up there for very long, dude. You could stay up for about 2 weeks maximum. The fuel cells on the shuttle are using hydrogen and oxygen. They use liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. So you have cryogenic fuel cells. And it'll boil off eventually. See? Okay, so... check this out. Now that shot didn't really do it justice, but if you look at some of these, pictures, you'll get vertigo. Scott is not close to where this shot was taken. Should have used Flex Seal? Flex Seal to do what? To keep the water out? Some of these shots are absurd, dude. Like, you get vertigo just looking at him. You're like, okay, that's not STS 120, but yeah, how about that for a shot? Did a micrometeorite tear the panel? I think the panel got torn because they had recently moved the solar panel array off the top of the space station, if I'm remembering correctly. Here, let me read. I don't know that off the top of my head. Yeah, P6. During STS-120, the P6 solar array is removed from the Z1 truss on top of Unity to the final position at the end of the port side truss. So they had to collapse down the P6 truss segment and then move it. And then when they went to deploy the solar panel again, it tore. For whatever reason, it bound up. That's awesome. Hey. Peggy Whitson, Pam Melroy. It's Deputy NASA Administrator right there. Cool. Yeah, see? No good. It bound up a little bit. It's still, dude, it's still like that. It's still, yeah, there's your cuff link. Guy, they straight up made that on the ISS, and it's still holding the solar panels together to this day. Pretty crazy, right? All right, let's get this payload out of here. So could the shuttle use the ISS power to keep the batteries charged? The shuttle doesn't have any batteries on board. There's no battery bank on the space shuttle. The fuel cells are the battery. It can tap into the ISS power, Cody, sure. But your propellants, your consumables for the fuel cells will eventually turn to nothing. They'll turn to gas and they'll be useless. So even though the shuttle could dial into the ISS, it could tap into its solar arrays, sure, absolutely. Even though it could do that, the shuttle consumables were still a limitation. Now, why? I know the next question coming. I know it. The next question coming is, well, why didn't they design it to stay up there longer? You gotta remember, what you're asking is like a C-17 or a C-5 or a 747 staying up, flying around and just docking to a bigger airplane and then just flying around up there without landing for like 3 weeks. It doesn't work that way. The shuttle, the reason why I use that as an example is because the shuttle is a space plane. It's not designed to stay up there for very long. The idea is that the shuttle would be making weekly trips to space, right? That was the intention when it was designed that way. So making weekly trips means that it's really only going to stay up there for 1 to 2 days. So they only gave it a fuel cell life to be able to bring it up there to have it up there for maybe a week at best. Week and a half, like, and that was a gross overestimation. That would be for even like the most long duration missions. Not sure if you already saw it, but Orion in 360 degrees from while it was in the VAB. Cool. Was catching up with the VODs and noticed that you were discussing looking for your old Centaur G the other day. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure your old Centaur G was before the 875 parts. Well, we're still clipping 125 parts. That was a Centaur 3, Muffin, and yes, it was. And yeah. No, that's not that. I built a Centaur G when the 1.8 meter tanks came out, but it's a Centaur G short. It's not what I'm looking for. It's a semi-truck, not an RV. Bingo. That's it. You got it, JuiceBot. That's the best way to put it. See any familiar faces? That's STS-61C. Yeah. See the guy with the blonde hair in the top right? I shook his hand. It's George Nelson, RJ. I met him at Space Fest 2019. I shook the dude's hand. You know why I shook his hand? Because he's one of the only people ever to wrangle a satellite with the MMU. See this bad mother trucker? On STS-41C, he had an MMU. George had an MMU, and he went out and he wrangled that son of a gun. Forget wrestling crocodiles. The guy wrestled a satellite in space. Untethered. Untethered. It's the Solar Maximum repair mission. That STS-41C is one of my all-time favorite shuttle missions. That mission paved the way for missions like the Hubble repair missions to happen, and the Hubble servicing missions. It was one of the first time the shuttle actually went up, fixed a broken satellite, and then sent it back off. And their original idea was to go and wrangle the satellite with an MMU, and that's George right there. I shook that dude's hand, man. Guy went and wrestled a motherfucking satellite, and then they brought it over to the arm, and the arm grabbed it, and they put it inside of the shuttle payload bay and fixed it. See? This mission paved the way. It paved the way for like Hubble repair missions. And this was in 1984. Yeah, I got to talk to him about it. I was like, so, I forget what I said. I was like, how did you wrestle a satellite in space? And he's like, well, I just kind of went over there and kind of did it. Fun fact, when he actually, so they sent out an MMU, right? And the man maneuvering unit had a latching end effector on it. So the MMU had like one of these. It had a grapple fixture on it. And what they were trying to do, they were trying to grab onto a bit of the satellite with a latching effector, like grab onto a structural piece of it. And the first time he did it, he hit the satellite, and because the satellite was broken, right, it just started spinning around. So he bonked it, right, and it started spinning out of control. And keep in mind, this is real life. There's no time warp. There's no SAS on the satellite because it's broken. It doesn't work, right? And there's no gyroscopes on your SAS, right? There's on your MMU. There's no SAS on your MMU. So he bonked it. Satellite starts spinning, and he started spinning. He recovered, stabilized it, and then they got it with the arm, which is unfreaking real, dude. It's bananas how ridiculous that mission actually is. The guy went and wrangled the damn satellite. Yep. Crip was on that mission. And Dick Scobie was on that mission too. Why don't they use the MMU for ISS operations outside of the fact that it's less risky and not necessary? They do. They do, Sile. Yep. Yeah, I'm just going to leave that. They do use the man maneuvering system out there, but it is a cut down version of it. So the man maneuvering unit got axed, right? They got axed, but the MMU didn't stop using something similar to it. So the MMU was considered kind of useless. The arm basically made it useless. Like the robotic arm on the shuttle. Oh. You don't know how ballsy that actually is. Dude. That's ballsy. Untethered EVA. That's nuts. Dude, that is nuts. There's no gyros on this thing, guys. There's no gyroscopes. There's no SAS. There's nothing to orient you. There's just the thrusters. That's it. Yeah, see? There's George wrangling one. So, and then Dale Gardner. So that satellite, Westar 6, you want to hear another cool story? This is how bananas the shuttle was. This is STS-51A, all right? STS-51A, he went up there, they wrangled the satellite, he got it. They put it on the stand in the shuttle's payload bay, and they figured out that it was junk. So they brought Westar 6 back down, and then sold NASA, legitimate salvage, man. They got the satellite, they brought it back down, and then they sold it to somebody else, and they launched it back. Some other commercial customer launched it back into space. Because the company that launched it got paid out on insurance, so it was a salvage. It was literally a salvage title satellite. And this is the kind of stuff that they were doing with the shuttle in the early 80s. It was awesome. No, they grabbed Hubble with the latching end effector, I think. So there's a sequel to the MMU, Sile. It's called Safer. The Simplified Aid for EVA Rescue. Safer is a small MMU. You can see it right there. It's behind the astronaut's torso right here. See it? See this box? Just in case an astronaut becomes untethered from the ISS or the shuttle. Well, the shuttle still flies in my mind for some stupid reason, but obviously. In case some astronaut becomes untethered from the ISS for whatever reason, they have a jetpack to be able to get back. It only has like 4 or 5 meter a second delta V. It's not a lot. It's a smaller version of the MMU, right? But every astronaut that EVA's out, like if you watch Josh Cassada and Frank Rubio from the EVA 52 the other day, they had Safer units on. It's all that thing is there to do is, like, if you become untethered and you start spinning and there's nothing you can do about it once you start spinning, this will get you stabilized and then you could push back towards the station. It's a life vest in space. That's what it is. The Safer unit does have RCS, but it's only like 4 or 5 meters a second of RCS. It's literally compressed air thruster. That's what it is. It's not anything too complicated. I think it's using compressed nitrogen. Just make a hole in your glove. Nice try, Mark Watney. But yeah, Safer units are... Every astronaut has them. That goes outside. That's what it looks like. It's just a little jetpack. That's it. With a little redundant control mechanism. It's a cut down MMU. I still think there's use for an MMU in space. But yeah, NASA wrote it off as... After a safety review following the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster, the MMU was judged too risky for further use, and it was found too many activities planned for the MMU could be done effectively with manipulator arms or traditional tethered EVAs. NASA also discontinued using the shuttle for commercial satellite contracts, and the military discontinued the use of shuttle, eliminating the main potential users. I love how a problem with management ended up getting hardware canceled. That's really funny. Because, you know, yeah. It's the MMU's fault that Challenger had a problem. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's frustrating, dude. I worked in the electronics industry. I saw that a lot. Dude, it's frustrating, man. It's frustrating. There's such good potential with the MMU. It's kind of annoying. Anyway, back to our mission. So the funny thing is, guys, is that I know my shuttle wouldn't be up there for long periods of time either. My shuttle doesn't have any solar panels. I have 3 fuel cells. 3 fuel cells and 3 fuel tanks for this system. And that's it. But for the planned moon mission with the shuttle, it takes about 2 weeks to get there and back, so how will it stay up? Planned moon mission with the shuttle, Cody? What do you mean? What the shuttle... Dude, you'll see this in the coming weeks with my space program, how they would have done it. Long story short, shuttle goes up, deploys an upper stage, another shuttle goes up, deploys a transfer vehicle, and another shuttle comes up and deploys a lander. The shuttle assembles those 3 together in space, and then they send it out to the moon. Or the shuttle could launch an upper stage with an upper stage. Another shuttle comes up, installs a lander on top. They send that. And then another shuttle goes up with a transfer vehicle. Those ISS modules that I told you about. The ISS derived module. And then another shuttle comes up with another upper stage. Clicks that thing in. Sends that out. And they rendezvous around the moon. Kind of like what we're doing with Gateway. Shuttle could do whatever. It could do either one. Okay. We'll deploy that. Can I see the arm through the payload bay windows? Sure. We gotta get this shuttle back down and then we gotta get some Centaur G action going. Hang on. We gotta go through the right window. Okay, let's stow the arm, zero out all these components. Zero for this one is 90. Yeah, Urban, the shuttle's up here. I wanted to work on Centaur G, but somebody Wheatley redeemed just launch it. So I launched the shuttle, but I did put this shuttle into a 45-degree inclined orbit, and we're gonna see how we're gonna get it back. How do you anchor the arm once it's retracted? Kraken Tech, Kibby. See the antenna? The antenna I have an action group toggle on it that toggles same vessel collision. It toggles same vessel collision with 2 sets of thermometers down here. So right now it's set for no vessel collision, and there is actually a bumper in here that in the form of an RCS ball. See it right? See it right there? The RCS ball has same vessel collision, and the RCS ball is going to hit those thermometers, which have SVI on. Right? So, watch. Right now, there's no same vessel collision enabled, but if we go down in here, Huh. We bent it. We bent the latching and we bent the shoulder pin when we docked. Uh-oh. All right, here, let's try this. Yeah, see, it's bent. How do we fix this? Arm won't latch. It won't latch this way. Give me 1 sec. I'll try to bonk it into position. Percussive maintenance. Bend the arm in the middle. No. That would work, but we just bend more of the arm. We need the arm to stay straight. There we go. A little bit of percussive maintenance there. Bonked it back into position. Now, if we time warp, right? That should undo SVI, time warp, and it should, yeah, okay, it bent it back. Very slightly bent it back, but it did. Cool. How would we get that thing from... How would we prevent that thing from rocking like that? I mean, same vessel collision could do it. Same vessel collision when we have all this activated would probably prevent that from happening in the future. Okay. The arm is latched on all the pins. The reason why it needs to stay latched is because, yeah, if I don't, it'll start wobbling around in flight, which is, you know... Wrist yaw is not locking. Come on, you. It's hitting 0. Please. Please do it or something. Does the shuttle have the capability to ditch the arm? No, I didn't put that in. I mean, we could always zap that piece right there that I have highlighted, the base, the root of the NPM, and it'll get rid of it. It's not a big deal that it's not locking. But I would really need it. It'd be really nice if it did it, just to be absolutely sure. There we go. Spamming an action group usually gets it. Okay, so wrist roll. Wrist yaw is locked. Wrist pitch is locked. Elbow pitch is locked. Shoulder pitch is locked. Shoulder roll is locked. Okay. We're going to undo the manipulator positioning mechanism. MPM is in the open position. We're going to move it into the stowed position here by reversing that cal controller. Enable. Play. Okay. You just tested positive for COVID almost 3 years without getting it. Ouch. That sucks, Woody. I mean, if you're not immunocompromised or anything, dude, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Oh, demo, why you want me to change my hat? Interesting. Will the shuttle arm deploy this as well? I never actually looked closely with it. Yeah, of course. They had to find a way to get the arm to get out of the way of the payloads, but also be able to stow inside of the payload bay doors. Sure. A few days into it already, I thought it was the flu. Yeah, you're gonna have a fever. You're gonna have a fever for a couple of days. It'll zap all your energy, dude. Your body's busy fighting it off. But yeah, shouldn't be too bad, dude. It'll get you though for a couple of days. Yeah, you will feel like dookie. But yeah, hopefully the worst of it is that, you know, like what happened with me is that I just had a cough for a little while after that. But yeah, sucks, man. Interesting, Spiffy. I know that the payload bay didn't work well here on the ground, but was the arm able to move around? The arm down on the ground, Jax, was about as useful as a marionette puppet. I.e., unless it's hanging from something, it's useless. Yeah. Like, you know, the string puppets, you know, like from Team America, the marionette things. Yeah, it's about that useful down here. So how they would get the arm out is they would just attach it to wires. They'd attach it to a crane and just pick it up and move it. It's basically useless. The manipulator positioning mechanism, though, that had to get moved out of the way. So the MPM, if I'm understanding how the operations manual works correctly, the MPM can be moved. You can take that and you can move it out of the way, because you need to move it out of the way to get payloads in there. Okay. All right, we got to do a couple of orbits here. I am new to the game. What's a challenge I could do that's not too hard? Just getting on orbit, Sponge, is pretty good challenge. Hey, Diego Kerman is working. There we go. Now we should get an AOS through Kerbal. Yeah! Awesome! Now the desert. Oh, Crater Rim. Wait a minute. That's one of their... That's Kerbal's ground tracking station. I don't want that. I want the desert. Dang. This is CTS-1. No. Okay, one more orbit around. Okay, Orbiter, you have a go for payload bay door close. No, short line, somebody retrieve, just launch it. So I was getting ready to work on Centaur, and then we did this instead. Thanks, everyone, for the well wishes. Yeah, body aches and eyeballs are strained yesterday. I feel okay now, just not 100%. 7 more days of isolation. Yeah, that's pretty much what happened to me, dude. I got a little bit of long COVID, which really sucked. Where I was just, dude, like, it fools your body into thinking you have crap in your throat, and you start coughing like you're gonna hawk it. Like, you know when you get the flu, right? And you start hawking up, like, like, get all the crap out of here. Like, my body thought that there was crap, like, snot and mucus in here, and there's nothing. And so I was, like, dry firing coughs for, like, the next month, and it really sucked. That hurts. 3 hours until the OneWeb launch. We also have the Yusaku Maezawa announcement, guys. Yeah, that's going to be pretty sweet. Okay, so let's take a look-see here. We need about a 60 meter a second delta V burn, and that going over here should get me back to KSC somewhere. Somewhere over there. That should do it. Let's see if I can steer this back in from an inclined orbit. I figure if we were going to do something like this, you know, we might as well have some fun with it. Okay. System is primed. Let me just safe the manipulator positioning mechanism. Cal controller is safed out. MPM is locked in the stowed position. Cool. The 747 airborne aircraft carrier concept. Yeah, that's pretty cool, Theix. I don't know why we don't do more stuff like that, but it is what it is. Okay, we're going to reorient the shuttle now. Does Orion have batteries so if it docks to something like Gateway, it could stay up there for a long time? It has solar panels, but yes. Yeah, the shuttle... Okay, so this is a weird thing, Cody, and this... It took me a second to wrap my mind around this. The shuttle doesn't have like a dedicated battery bank. There's no master battery. There's different components on the shuttle that do have batteries on them. But it's the same type of situation like how your computer's motherboard has a battery on it for the BIOS clock, right? Same kind of idea. The shuttle's batteries are the fuel cells. The fuel cells are acting as your battery cell. Because why? If your fuel cell can act like a battery, why would you use a battery? That's just extra weight. Or extra mass in this case. Why would you do that, right? So the shuttle has 3 fuel cells that are underneath the payload bay. My fuel cells are in the same spots as the real ones. They're underneath the payload bay, which is why I divvied out my payload bay with this divider segment so I could put the components down underneath the payload bay that are actually there on the real one. I did that because, you know, having conversations like this is cool, right? So you can learn. And also, you know, I wanted this to fly like the real one. Yeah, Absolute Zero for sure. Yeah, it's way better. But you're unfortunately limited by cryogenics. But with the shuttle, because it was designed to not be up there for very long, it doesn't matter. Payload bay didn't go into closed again at the end of the cal controller. We got to make sure that we do that. Okay, we are set in the position for our deorbit burn. Just got to keep moving it a little bit. Okay, let's roll. Okay. Now the shuttle should be able to, if I did the trajectory right, the shuttle should be able to use cross range. We should be able to use the cross range to get to the right orbit. Should be 60 on the dot, more or less. Yeah, okay, 101. All right, got it. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit more than 60 because we're a little bit higher. There we go. That's where we need to be. Let's do this. See if we can bring her down. Okay. Orbiter, you go for deorbit burn. Just launch it was retrieved today, Zay, so just launch it was a shuttle mission. So I am doing I decided we'll do an inclined orbit insertion with the shuttle here to see if it can do it. Okay, so I have the shuttle at a 42-degree inclined orbit just to see, and now we're going to go into free cam, and we'll make sure we're controlling from there. Guys, you got to remember we have Yusaku Maezawa's announcement here. Reminds me of the rendezvous pitch maneuver. We have Yusaku Maezawa's Dear Moon announcement here at 3, I believe. So, yeah, that should be fun. Okay, we have EI. All right, let's bring her down. Bring up speed brake controls. I have a feeling I'm going to use that. Body flap control. Set speed brake to deploy on with deploy angle 0. Body flap on, deploy angle 0. Orbiter maneuver system, lock gimbal, shut down. Lock the gimbal on the OMS, shut it down. We're on RCS here, from here to the way down. I rarely ever come back from an inclined orbit here. I may have overshot. We'll see. But this is good data for me. I like doing these simulation missions here, so I know. I also would like to do a good simulation mission here to see what the maximum shelf life of the shuttle is on orbit with my fuel cells. What's that, Hellfish? Ugh. Nice pictures. running out of things to say, man. We'll look at those on the way down. On the way down here. I think we're on a pretty gnarly overshoot, actually. How do you know the fuel cells don't draw from the OMS tank? Because they use different propellants. The orbiter maneuvering system on the shuttle uses monomethylhydrazine and nitrogen tetroxide. The fuel cells on the space shuttle are hydrogen, liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. Yes, but on yours they both use liquid fuel and oxidizer. There's nothing I can do about that, dude.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
I usually lock the tanks out until I need them. But these are on a crossfeed. It is on a crossfeed. They're blocked off by a panel. The way my ohms pod's attached are on a panel right there, the structural panel. And the structural panel basically prevents that from pulling from the fuel cell. The RCS, though, there's nothing I can do about. And the fuel cells like to pull from everything because they're fuel cells. Yeah, we're on a gnarly overshoot. Alright, this is gonna get nuts. Hey, Lewis, 14 months. Oh, boy. I'd say start pulling an S-turn now. S-turn is when a trajectory has been established, Ordon. We don't need to turn necessarily left or right. But I noticed that the thing wants to drag on one side, and I'm not sure why. It seems, it's almost like this is not being occluded, which is weird. These are... Yeah, that's being all occluded. Okay. The SAS just wants to do that, see? Yeah, if you could, like, not do that, that would be awesome. It's very much acting like the arm isn't occluded. We're leaning to one side. See? And the SAS doesn't compensate. It just finds the in-between spot, which is very weird. Here, let me turn on the roll elevons, or the outer elevons. Let me put them on roll. We're 1900 over the mountains. Yeah, we're overshooting. If this one can come back, I'd be pretty impressed. The payload bay is closed. Yeah, it is closed. I checked it. Alright, Ordon, yeah, let's try it. Let's do that S-turn. Will it make one of the runways that you built? Maybe the island runway, but that's not one of the runways that I built. But yeah, here, let's send it this way. Thanks, Pyro. Yeah, actually, a little bit of an overshoot there. Not bad though. I mean, we should still be able to pull this out. I don't think the shuttle could do this in real life. What I'm gonna do with this thing. In fact, I'm pretty sure the shuttle couldn't do this. It would have broken by now. Pitch rate is getting too high. Come on, baby. It can't hold this for much longer. It'll crash. We're out of entry heating. The control surfaces are taking over. Oh. Come on, turn around. No, no, come back, come back. If this was in daytime, I would have been able to get it, but because it's night, I can't really see the burn point. I can't even see the damn island runway. This thing really, really, really wants to go to one side. That's really... Look. I can't even see the damn island runway. Oh well, negative. We're going in the Hudson. I just learned an extra valuable lesson about jumping on Gilly with no jetpack. Oops. Have you tried turning the SAS off? You want to see what happens when the SAS is off? Look. It rolls. What is going on with this thing? I'm trying to see if there's components that are occluded or something. There's not. Are... Nope, everything in there is occluded. Is the docking port occluded? Hold on. Yep. But it's still rolling. Are you controlling from the right place? Yeah. Yep. Interesting. Is it a weight and balance thing? It should be able to trim out for that. It's trimmed out for that in the past. I'm not sure what's going on here. See anything that's not uniform, fellas? Everything looks uniform here to me. Yeah, very strange. Are the ohms pods equally full? Yep. Yeah, okay. Interesting. Mass of the arm, it weighs nothing. It's a bunch of antennas. It doesn't weigh anything. Wait, what's that? Is that thing... Alright. Huh. I don't know why it's doing that, Hip. It's very strange. Is your fuel even? Yeah. So we do have a fuel cell on the side there, and I'm guessing that there's 2 fuel cells on the left and 1 fuel cell on the right. You know what I'm going to do? And I could have sworn I already did this, but we must not have unified the craft file or something. What I'll do is move that fuel cell to the starboard side. There's 2 on the port side and 1 on the starboard side, so we'll just move it, and that should fix it. That shouldn't make it roll that much, though. Yeah. I know. I mean, but then again, that fuel tank is full. So that is throwing my center of mass a little bit more forward. And I noticed that it's struggling for pitch control right now. Alright, let's do this right. Basically, the key, if you're going to ditch the shuttle in the water, was basically to just stall the thing right above the ground. Someone told me that it's impossible to make a pun about vegetables. I said that's not necessarily true. Nice. All right. Not bad. Quit playing with your dinghy. Well, the arm came unstowed on impact. I'm guessing we didn't stow it all the way. That's my guess. That one of these wasn't locked in and it was moving around. Okay, I'm going to revert a quick save there. Huh. How can we get around that? Yeah, Free Willy! Well, that was good data nonetheless, so... I'm wondering if the arm came off because we hit the water and we decelerated really quickly, or if it came off because it wasn't stowed all the way. Something to ponder, I suppose. Was this another just launch it, or are you still on the first one? No, that was the same mission. It seemed secure before impact. Yeah, Fit. But yeah, I don't know, man. The arm was definitely giving us trouble there. It was definitely giving us trouble. So here's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna go into the shuttle's craft file here. I mean, fortunately that was all simulation, so, you know, it's good practice. Yeah, see? I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna move it over here. And hopefully that can counterbalance the arm. But something weird was going on there, and I'm not exactly sure what it was. Don't forget to adjust the cowl. What do you mean adjust the cowl, Juice Spot? I mean... I don't know if the cowl controller will detect that correctly, dude. I think it's better to just check it manually. Dude, it doesn't detect stuff like that for whatever reason. Did the shuttle ever have 2 arms installed? No, but it could have. They could have had 2 arms if they wanted to. Just put 2 arms on. I could. If I really wanted to. Wasn't the inspection thing just an arm? I mean, yes and no. It was basically just a tube. It's just the structural components of an arm. It had no movable components. Thanks, Absolute Zero. Yeah, I don't like ditching it in the water. It really bums me out. But yeah, I couldn't really see. I should have waited until it was daytime at KSC so I could plan my deorbit burn a little bit better, but it's alright. No, it's not necessarily a separate arm, but it picks up on the arm mounts. It's just a pipe. See? It just picks up on the manipulator positioning mechanism. See the rod right there? That's the antenna. See that rod? The antenna on my shuttles, the antennas that we were trying to get stowed, is that. They're in the same spots as the robotic arm. There's another one down here. There's another one right there. See the latching the latching pin? But this is just a pipe. That's all. That's all it is. It's just a pipe with some electrical stuff running through it, like the camera, and then you can attach an astronaut tether to it if you want as well. Have you placed waypoints for your descent yet? How? How would I have done that already, Aqualux? You need CurbNet to do that, so I need a satellite to do it. Move over there. Move over, Rover. Did you see the Mars eclipse? Orbital Mechanic, I saw it on I saw people posting about it. It's actually really cool. Alright. Guys, I'll be right back. 1 second. Gotta use the restroom real quick. Then we'll get into building Centaur. What mods are you using? Really gotta make that not an admin command. I'll be right back. 1 second, okay? Waste tank evacuation complete. Okay. All right. So, actually, Creeper, you know, like, I had to go pee, but I figured I'd go down to the bathroom because I had stuff stuck in my teeth because I had lunch right before I started streaming. I'm ashamed to admit that, but... Oh, I see. I keep forgetting every aspect of waypoints. Yeah, if I could just set the waypoints, Aqualex, believe it or not, I would send out a survey flight with the K92 and get the waypoints that we need. But you need KerbNet to do that. So what I think would be a good thing to do would be to launch a satellite. We could launch a KerbNet satellite and mark out the different waypoints for approach. Or we could put a probe on the ground. We could go drop a beacon or something. I don't know. I don't know which one would be better. KerbNet would be on top of Tidris. Lados, I would agree with you, but we just set up all those runways, man. You know, like we could. Could just drop waypoints, but I suppose the first thing to do, would be, yeah, dropping waypoints is probably the good idea. A good idea. Ground beacons would allow for more fine tuning, though. Yeah, Claude Void. My thing is that what if one of the deorbit points is over water? What's this, Hellfish? Any updates on the PO box? Yes, actually, I was at the post office this morning, Creeper. That's why I went out and got lunch. So I need 2 forms of ID to get for them to give me the keys, even though I already bought it. My passport is being renewed right now. Just weird coincidence, man. I noticed when we moved here that my passport expired because I was moving it, so I have it being renewed, and it should be back soon. Actually, it should be back like tomorrow. I checked the tracking number. Are you Canadian? No. Yeah, it expired because I got my passport in late 2012 when I went to Japan. That's when I renewed it last, so it expired late 2022. So yeah, I was at the post office today. And it's a little bit of a drive because I obviously don't want a PO box that's in my town, right? Like so it's a little ways north of me, so it's a little drive up there. Yeah, it's a little ways north. I picked a really cool post office for what it's worth. It's like right on the beach, which is actually pretty sweet. So I drove all the way up there, and they're like, "Yeah, you need 2 forms of ID." And the other thing is that my license still has I haven't renewed my license to update the address, which is not that big of a deal. But my address on my license is the apartment that's in Boston, which is... They're like, so you have 1 form of ID, the address is wrong, and you don't have a 2nd form of ID. And I'm like, no. And they're like, okay, come back with your passport and then we'll talk. I'm like, all right. We could dropping ocean buoys, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Weed, I'm not saying it was the most productive engagement, but hey, whatever, at least I know. I mean, it's not anything that the thing didn't say, so I tried to do it without the passport. But the passport should be, we should have it, so. Yeah. Are we allowed to send stuff to it yet? You know what? I didn't ask them that. But anyway, yeah, that's what's going on. I'm gonna... So, the tracking says the passport should be here tomorrow. So, yeah, I'll go tomorrow. If it's here. If it comes in the morning. Hopefully it does. That'd be nice. You're gonna look at that V280 article. A reality check on the Army picking the V280 Valor over the SB1. The reaction to Bell's V280 Valor beating Sikorsky and Boeing SB1 Defiant for the opportunity to replace the Army's sprawling fleet of Get out of here. Under the Future Long Range Assault Aircraft Initiative, or FLRAA, was potent to say the least. There's been very strong opinions flung about with very little actual information or direct insight beyond anecdotal claims to back them up. In fact, I would go so far as to say that many were just rooting for the one that looked the coolest and the most exciting to them over the terms of the sense. Truth is that this program is more about just finding a Black Hawk replacement. It's becoming key to the viability of the very mission of the Army aviation as a whole, and thus sees it an existential program by the service. We do have a good sense of what the Army was looking for in terms of performance. Like I said, I need to know the stakeholder expectations. But, the service released unclassified FLRAA requirements 3 years ago. You can read more here. I just got the Yamaha this morning, plug it in, see how it plays on the PC. Right on. Yeah, Shutzy, you know what? I love this thing. That thing is really cool. I actually... Dude, I thought it was a piece of junk until yesterday, and I started reading about what it can do. It's a pretty awesome piece of equipment, dude. I have to say. But I've been on Team SB1 for a long time. I think the SB1 is a far superior design. That is... There's no way that this thing is more complicated than that thing. But this thing can go triple this thing's range. It's triple its range, to be honest. Like, it can go twice as far as that thing. Or no, I think it was 3 times as far. It has also flown for 5 years, and the SB1 has not. So the SB1 auto gyros at high speed, dudes. The idea for the K92, the plane that I've been building ground tracking stations with, the idea, that I got it from this. So this thing has a drive mechanism that can either drive the rotors, or it can drive the propeller, or it can drive both at the same time. And the idea is, just like with the K92, right? The reason why these blades have these like kind of fairings on the end right there is for auto gyroing. So when the propeller starts going, what happens is these blades start free spinning, and the thing can auto gyro at high speed. It's an auto gyro. That's what makes that thing cool. Now, don't get me wrong. I can't be absolutely sure that it's an auto gyro, but I'm pretty dang sure. There's no way you'd be able to get the speeds that this thing can do in real life. There's no way you'd be able to get the speeds without this thing without dealing with a problem called retreating blade stall. There's no way. Cena suggested that the SB1's size might have played against it, much taller than the Black Hawk due to its second rotor. I can't see it being any taller than this, but I do understand. I think that V22 is amazing. It's amazing, but dude, there's a lot of things. This has a lot of moving parts, man. Especially the MV22s that can fold up. Dude, I love it, and that's like the closest thing we have to a Pelican from Halo. It's amazing. It's an amazing piece of equipment, but I mean, Hellfish, we can read through this a little bit later. Okay, the SP1 isn't that much bigger. The Blackhawk is just such a good idea, man. That's such a nice helicopter. But, Hellfish, we can go over this a little bit later. I gotta get going on the Centaur G. We have Yusaku Maezawa, a huge Dear Moon announcement. Should be happening in about 36 minutes. So, I can go over that later. But, it's interesting that you said that it's from the stream. The V280 is cool. Don't get me wrong. It's cool, but it's complicated. That's... Like, I don't mean to be a stick in the mud, dude. And hopefully I'm coming from a point of ignorance here. Not willfully, you know what I mean? But I'm looking at... You look at stuff like the V22 in combat, right? You look at stuff like UH-60s and, you know, UH-1s, stuff like that, you know, what a helicopter is really designed to do, what its stakeholder expectations are. Take troops, move them over there, do it quickly. Short range, right? So one, they're replacing a short range helicopter that's designed for quick point-to-point travel with a long range helicopter tilt rotor thing that can do everything that the Blackhawk can, and it can do more, but it's also like twice as complicated. I know, guys, Chillin', there are viewers that worked on V22s. I've talked to them about it. They said it's insane. It's so hard to keep those things maintained. It's the synchro. The synchro on it really, 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 really has a bad day. There's a synchronizer that between the rotors, so you have engine out capability. There's a drive shaft that runs through the wing, and it goes to a synchronizer gearbox to make sure that the two drives, it makes sure that the rotors are in sync. And think about how ridiculously complicated that is when your power plants are out on the wing. So you have a power plant. The two engines need to be synced together, and then they also power the blades. So if you're going around a corner, say the V22 is flying like this, well, obviously, if it takes a bank turn, the inside rotor is going to want to spin faster because the airspeed going into it is more than the outside rotor, right? So you're putting strain on that gearbox every time you turn that thing. I don't know if the V280 overcomes those problems. It might. But, I mean, that's more of a physics problem than anything. So why are they wanting to move away from the Blackhawk? Honestly, Owens, that's my question. You're replacing a Jeep with a tank. Why would you do that? Can a tank do everything that a Jeep can do? Sure, and then some. But why? And once again, I'm ignorant to this. I don't know what the stakeholder expectations are for the Army. I'd have to go look. I'd have to go read. Because obviously the stakeholder expectations aren't just replace the Blackhawk, right? That's not the expectation, obviously. Because if it was, they wouldn't have chose either one of those things. Neither one of those things, if they went up in competition against the Blackhawk when the Blackhawk came out, would have been chosen. They're way too complicated. So that tells me that the Army's stakeholder expectations for what they need for Army aviation is changing. It's not just moving around on helicopters. They're trying to do something different because they, at the backbone of their Army aviation, core from now on is going to be the V280. So that's not a helicopter, right? That's something completely different. The USMC just keeps updating the UH-1 and AH-1 because they work. They work and they're simple. They are simple because this is something about, you know, I'm not military. I'm a civilian, right? I'm not ex-military either. This is something that the Marine Corps brass really does understand. Either that or they don't have the money to get the toys that the Army has. It's probably that second one, but also probably a little bit of this too. The Marine Corps brass knows that you don't need something complicated. Dude, you could have Tommy guns. You could have Marines going around with Tommy guns. They do the job just as good as with M16s. That doesn't really matter as much, you know what I mean? The weapon is a weapon. Like, it's much more about the soldier than anything. Like, I like that the Marines understand that. So, I mean, the end result of that is that the Marines often get junk. They get crap. They get the leftover Army toys, which kind of sucks, but... But, see, here's the thing, guys. When you're in combat, dude, and once again, I'm not speaking from any experience. This is anecdotal from people that I've listened to, that have fought. Dude, you can't be worrying about stuff like the equipment working and not working. If that's not working, that's a distraction. It's distracting you from what you're trying to do. So, i.e., if you have a helicopter that's gonna, you know, be extraordinarily complicated, if it's gonna go into combat one or two times and get knocked out by a guy with an AK, what the hell's the point of that helicopter? Could it be the UH-72 taking over to do the light duty role so they don't need another helicopter? Once again, Android possibly. Their stakeholder expectations are changing. Stuff needs to be simple, dudes. It needs to be simple, especially when it comes to mil-spec stuff. It needs to be simple. It cannot be complicated. It can't be complicated. If it's complicated, you're taking fighting on the battlefield, which is already a hard thing to do, and making it more difficult. I don't know why you'd do that, but hey, whatever. Centaur is what we set out to do today, Wheat. The future vertical lift FVL concept is to create a new rotorcraft that uses technology, materials, and designs that are quicker, have longer range and higher payload capacity, and are more reliable and easier to maintain and operate. Have lower operating costs and can reduce logistical footprints. Does everything better and cheaper. I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. This is... Okay, I gotta shift gears. I mean, Owens, I'm not gonna lie to you. Hang on a second, Weed. I'm not gonna lie to you. It seems like perfect is the enemy of good in this scenario. Honestly, old tricks are the best tricks, man. A gun is a gun. Like, you could have a Tommy gun, or you could have an M16, you could have an AK. It's all gonna do the same thing. If one of those bullets hits somebody, that's it. You know, it really comes down to what's the simplest, you know what I mean? But I guess, dude, what do I know? I'm just a civilian. I have no idea. I'm thinking about it from an engineering standpoint, which we learned from Vietnam is not a good way to do things. Yeah, that's not a good way to do things. You don't think it's not an engineering problem. They tried that during Vietnam, and that's why everybody got M16s, and at the beginning of the M16 trials in Vietnam, it didn't work. And that's why the US switched to a smaller caliber with much more impulse behind it. Yeah, thinking about it like that not necessarily a good way to solve your problems. But anyway, let's just go back to using Hueys. Infinitely simpler. Alright, so, what weapons do we issue currently? They actually changed it the other day. The Army changed the standard issue weapon. It's called a SIG Spear. It's replacing the M4. I don't know. I'd be curious to talk to some veterans about this and see what they think. Just for the heck of it, you know. Why switch to 6.5, Kopi? Why? Why would you field a new cartridge? Why? Why would you? I was reading about the Spear, and while it's a really good gun, the combustion chamber on the Spear can take 80,000 PSI, which is unreal. That's ridiculous capability, but do you need 80,000 PSI behind a 6.5? Like, are the ballistics that much better? Like, dude, that new 6.5 cartridge, dude, has it's like, dude, it would be like taking an upper stage from a low Earth orbit rocket, right? Taking an upper stage from a low Earth orbit rocket and putting it on top of a moon rocket. That's what we're talking about in terms of energy. You have enough powder. There's enough powder behind that 6.5 cartridge for like a 308, but it's shooting a 6.5. So that thing comes out extremely fast. Like, those bullets are going way faster than 5.56, which is weird. Going away from the NATO standard seems ill-advised. What's the grain? I forget, Steve, I forget. Yeah, wheat, maybe. It's interesting, though. After we went to 5.56 and we carried 5.56 NATO for the longest time because it was lighter to move around. We literally switched to 5.56 because of the logistics of it and put a bunch of powder behind a 22 caliber cartridge to try and compensate for the fact that it's a 22 caliber cartridge. Interesting. They're awfully close to the 263 Peterson that Garan wanted. Yeah, interesting. Funny how that works. Let's just rip the band-aid off and go back to 30-06, man. Is it 6.8 or 6.5, Dead? I forget, guys. Guns and military stuff is not necessarily my forte. I know rockets, and I know the aerospace engineering behind it, you know? So, like, if there's any ignorance there, it's not willful. I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm doing it because I don't know. Yeah, I know about the H-Car, Juicebot, and I want one. Nice, Creeper. Alright. So, it's 6.8 Da Vinci? Yeah. I thought it was 6.5 for some reason. I don't know why. I'm confusing it with something else, guys. That's my fault. Yeah, it's weird, Gopi. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. You gotta, you know... Now would be the time to do something like this, I suppose. I like 308. T-Man, I'm personally a fan of heavier hitting rounds, but you gotta understand, if you're gonna carry 308, part of being in the military and part of tactics is not necessarily shooting to kill. You have suppressing fire, right? And if you have suppressing fire with a 308 cartridge, so you have something like an M60 or an MG3 or an M240 Bravo or something like that, that's a lot of lead going down range to hit nothing. You know what I mean? Sometimes, dude, you want to cover your movement. You have your guy get up there with a machine gun that shoots 223. It shoots 5.56. It's called an M249. And just put a lot of fire in the direction of your enemy so they get down and you can move. So doing that with a heavier hitting caliber makes no sense because you're not shooting to necessarily kill anything, right? So what's this we have here? I'm working on the upper stage for the shuttle. Urban, yeah. I love EBRs. I love EBRs, Pigzig. I like heavy hitting calibers, dude, because I'm weird. I know they're heavy. Yeah, I get it. They're heavier. I'm a big guy. I'll move it around. It's fine. That was actually Nick's primary weapon in the military, the M249. So Nick, Nick, you know, the saw is there to just put a lot of ammunition in that direction to cover your buddies while they move. Interesting, Shutsy. There's a YouTuber, Grand Thumb, that did a video not too long ago showing what it sounds like to have... I watched that video, Kopi. The sonic booms is what freaked me out, dude. I'm like, the bullet is actually moving fast enough, despite being an incredibly low mass, to make an audible sonic boom, which is unreal to me. Now, don't get me wrong. I know supersonic ammo, subsonic ammo. I know ballistics enough to be dangerous, to quote Mike Seraphin. I got a Seraphin mustache, but I'm not the best at that kind of stuff. You know what's funny is crap, the 249 is pretty much no recoil. Open bolt. Yeah, oh, it's an open bolt system, dude. Yeah. The crazy part about that, Kopi, is when they shot like 50 BMG and you heard the thing go zzz, and then you hear I'm like, oh my gosh. You don't hear the sound before it kills you. Like, Kralati, I know that people throw that around, right? And oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, that's scary, dude. That's scary. You heard this, and then you heard the I'm like, oh my gosh. And then after the boom, then you heard the muzzle, like, which is that's weird, man. I'm like, I don't like this at all. Oh my goodness. Interesting. I don't know, floating. But anyway, all right, Centaur G, guys, let's go. We only have 20 minutes now. Oh man, it's getting tough to get started today. The just launch it threw me off so hard, man. It threw me off completely. I don't like that. That threw me off that much, dude. It's all good, man. It's all good. No problems. I'm not complaining. It just threw me off. I'm like, wait, what? What am I doing now? All right. How much Delta V are you aiming for? 2,400 or 2,500 is where we're aiming for. With this configuration here, moving a 9-ton payload, we have 2,477. So we kind of, what this is basically just a mock-up. I have a mock-up for the stage with payload mass, right? And then we have our fuel tank configuration and then our engine config. We noticed that the Cheetah gives us 2,477, which is pretty good. Guys, I'm actually kind of wondering about the Cheetah because it's very long. Sorry, your combat arms in the Air Force and gun talk gets you going. Yeah, Kobe, that's cool. I love talking about the engineering behind them because what a gun does and a rocket does is pretty much the same thing. Pretty much the same thing. A rocket is just shooting a blank cartridge and the cartridge is attached to the gun. It's Newton's third law. It's all the same. So let's see what two Terriers are going to get us. So we had 2,477 with a TWR 0.52. You weren't wrong. The Spear is multi-caliber and can be adapted to 6.5 as well. Dude. Probably. Here's the thing, man. I don't know anything about combat. I really don't. I know nothing about it. Never done it. Never been there. Don't ever want to do it, right? Like, well, maybe if it was necessary, but that's another story. But if combat is anything like spaceflight, it really has to be as simple as possible. It really can't be complicated. If it's complicated, it's gonna fail. You know, and you know, combat like spaceflight, your hide's on the line. You know what I'm saying? So, like with spaceflight, you get something wrong, you die. In combat, you get something wrong, you die. You die. There's no. You die, right? So. Like, I think with that I can get some kind of perspective, but yeah, I don't know, man. I see something like interchangeable calibers and I'm like, that's just another thing that'll break. Like floating, the other thing is that Hearts straight up taught me that, dude. You could have the best gun in the world if you can't get it. If you can't get that ammo or the gun to the front lines, you ain't going nowhere. Logistics are very, 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 very important. Like, yeah, that's really, really important to get that right. If you don't get that right, you're gonna have a bad day. Does the Centaur have RCS, or is that included in the payload? Centaur, mine will have RCS. Now. So what I'm building is something like this. This is an idea that came from the original shuttle program using Centaur stages inside of the shuttle's payload bay. Yeah, there were two types of Centaur stage here. I'm building G Prime, not just Centaur G. I want to build something like G Prime. Now, the reason why the stage is like tapered in a different core size at the back is so they could fit the shuttle adapter in, so they could put it in the shuttle's payload bay. So they made the hydrogen tank like a regular Centaur would be like up here somewhere. They took the hydrogen tank and shortened it and widened it so it fits inside of the payload bay. We need to do something similar to this, and then we need a payload adapter as well. But Centaurs do have RCS. There's an integrated RCS system on the back, just like most Centaurs have them. I can show you. It uses Aerosine 50 going through a catalyst. Interesting. At this point in production, this Centaur does not have the RCS installed, but it has the Aerosine tanks installed. See those? RCS tanks. They're sitting on the back of a Centaur. Now don't get me wrong, we're not making something exactly like the Centaur, but we're making something close. So check this out. See those things right there? Those two things with the red on it? We're talking about operations in the military and stuff. See, what does red mean? If there's a red plug on something, what does it mean? It's color-coded like that on purpose. Red means stop. Take it off before flight. Red in aviation is remove before flight. Those are plugs. Because that's the Centaur nozzle. The Centaur uses a pneumatic system. It has a helium tank and an Aerosine tank. And they pressurize Aerosine and they shoot it through this thing. Those things right there that those things are covering, the FOD covers are covering, is a catalyst. So, okay, how does that work? What is a catalyst and how does a monopropellant system work? So how this all works is, if you guys know what a catalytic converter does on a car, literally that. So the harmful emissions that come out of an engine go through the catalytic converter and they react. The metal flakes that are inside of a catalytic converter on a car react with the exhaust, the hazardous exhaust gases from the car. And when they react with the metal, it inerts the gases. So all you get coming out of the back of the car is just some carbon monoxide and a couple of other things. So this thing does basically that. The catalyst that's on these monopropellant thrusters right here is literally a little catalytic converter. And when they shoot Aerosine through it and Aerosine goes through the catalyst, it heats it up. It heats it up and the gases expand and they shoot out the nozzle. Done. Hey, Scott, 36-month resub. Thank you. What's the green tank on the side? That's a helium tank for tank ullage. This helium tank basically fills the balloon tanks as the propellant comes out. So how do they fuel it inside the shuttle? The shuttles were equipped with a fueling mechanism. I can show you. I have it in my repository of images. Let's see. Does Atlantis have it? No. Basically, like right here, there was an extra umbilical like that on the shuttle. And they, you know, this is a newer picture of Atlantis. They patched it up after they decided they weren't going to do it anymore. But if we find an older picture, I know I have them in here somewhere. I have some really nice pictures in here, by the way. Oh, there's Centaur G. Basically, there's a fuel line that goes out the side right here. And it goes out the side of the shuttle's payload bay. And then there was a special umbilical that they were going to use for fueling it. Shuttle booms. Yeah, it was right there. There's another shot of Atlantis. I have pictures of it in here, I know I do. I saved them. I mean, we just, oh, that one snuck in there. Hey, it identifies as a shuttle, okay? Okay? It's a shuttle in our hearts. Oh yeah, that one snuck in here too, by the way. That's a sweet picture. You're a shuttle. Good. Could have sworn I saved it in here, but I'm getting to the end of these pictures. Oh, there it is. See? There's the umbilical. That's the Centaur G umbilical. And this is Atlantis sitting on the pad doing fitment checks for that. Oof. I think that's the only picture of it that I have, though. That's the only one that I saved. Your dad's NASA? That's good. So how would they detach the piping? An umbilical disconnect. Just the same way that they detach the piping down here. If we look at some of these older pictures of shuttles, you should be able to see the Centaur attachment point on it. Yeah, whatever. We could look through these all day. Long story short, there's an umbilical on the side of the shuttle's payload bay. Thanks, Tactile. Nice, Fit. That's cool. Doctor, your dad is NASA. That's cool. Neat. So, it would have been fueled out the side. Now, we don't need to worry about that because I'm not building a pad or umbilicals or anything, guys. But, yeah, this is kind of the configuration that I want. And it seems like twin Terriers might actually be not... It's actually less. 2477 at 5.52 TWR. That one was 2400 at 0.5 TWR. This thing, that is a gnarly upper stage engine. So we might take some liberties with this design, you know what I'm saying? On the inside there would be pipes to flow the fuel to the correct tanks. They would have to detach them, I think. Okay, hold on. Give me a second, I gotta find the right PDF. Should probably name these things so they're not just numbers. That one's snuck in there. So that's the umbilical that I was talking to you about. There's for detaching the stage, there's another umbilical too. It's on that mount piece. Here we go. Of course, it's the last one in the line of PDFs that we selected. Here's the operations manual for it. So, see the structure, the engine support structure, and the deployment adapter, and the separation ring. There's the fuel lines. See them right there? They go out the side of the payload bay, Cody. What's better than one cheetah is two cheetahs. Yeah, rocket guy. Nice. No, you're an upper stage. Got him. Yeah, see, that deployment ring has the separators right there. See them? Bruh. Look at this, dudes. You want to see something cool? Return from orbit. OPF. Demate. Centaur. Ugh. They were going to use Complex 36 to do checkouts on them and then send them back to the VPF. Vertical processing facility, if anybody's wondering. This was a good idea, man. Rocket guy, I understand the hazards involved with using a hydrolock stage on the shuttle inside of the shuttle's payload bay. But man, dude, it's so tempting. It's so damn tempting. This is, dude, yeah, no, it's such a good idea. So we need to build a Centaur stage, but we ran out of time because, yeah. At least Centaur G became Centaur T for Titan. Yeah, but the Centaur stages are good, but, I mean, Joe, did you, you're right, you're absolutely right, but did you see this? Look. Return from orbit, man. Return from orbit. Meaning the shuttle went and grabbed one and brought it back. Reusable third stages? Yes, please. I'll take that. Reusable third stage, totally reusable second stage, and partially reusable first stage. Dude, I'm in. I'm in. The primary concept of using ET propellant was much better and should have been the implementation. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Did I miss something? Oh, damn, you're right. They were gonna fuel... They were gonna fuel it from the external tank, and then they added the umbilical. Why add another umbilical, man? Oh my goodness. That's like Aces in ULA for what, in 1986? Yeah. Purely hypothetical, but could Starship get a third stage? Doesn't need it, Jax. On-orbit refueling. Starship is the third stage. At least that's the plan. Whether that's going to be feasible or not, I don't know. Speaking of Starship, guys, Yusaku Maezawa's announcement is going to be happening in a second here, so I have the basic configuration of what I want here, but we need to flesh out a couple more stakeholder expectations for how this thing is going to work, and then I need to actually put it together. For deep space mission payloads, warranted, and yes. Yeah, I mean, Rocket Guy, do you think... I mean, I suppose if it's a time-sensitive payload, then yeah, you could. They'll eventually put a third stage up in that thing. Because Starship is not the plate for sending anything other than itself into solar orbit. I mean, Rocket Guy, you know, it'd be ridiculous if they were moving... I mean, Starship could, you know, fully fueled Starship on orbit could move a good amount of payload in anywhere, right? You know, it'd be cool, like, if they had, like, a small, like, 4 or 5 ton payload with Starship, sending it out to the moon, do the TLI burn, deploy the payload, literally turn around and recircularize. It would... That would be really complicated, but yeah. Anyway. What am I looking at here, Joe? Not appropriate language, but look at what this LC-39B shuttle construction employee said at the bottom of the page. Nice S10. The Centaur porch was finally installed on the tower, and the Centaur rolling beam umbilical system, which sat on top of the Centaur platform and porch, would extend out beyond the end of the porch when in use, with its umbilical carrier plate mated to the side of the shuttle. It was also installed on the tower. I was right there standing next to the gosh dang thing when it went through its first functional test, and everything about it was sketchy. The fixed service structure was crawling with engineering and management, and they counted the test down. The drop weights fell, and the fully extended RBUS arm came zooming back into the main body of the contraption, going ching, 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 ching. And it did so, and the assembled higher-ups were all just as pleased as could be that the gosh dang thing worked as advertised. But I remember thinking that it was some kind of Band-Aid Tinker Toy nightmare. And that it was going to get someone... It was going to get someone before it was all said and done. Filling up the Centaur with a railroad car tank of psychotically explosive LOX and LH2 via the long skinny pole affair extending out from the end of the main RBUS body, extending all the way out to the side of the shuttle's fuselage, where it would meet the plumbing, which would then take that liquid dynamite and pump the shuttle full of it in place where such stuff was never intended to... Never intended to go inside the freaking payload bay for Christ's sakes. Leave it stuck to the side of the shuttle for the requisite fill, drain, and venting work that proceeded all the way down to T-0 with the main engines blazing away at full throttle. Oh, yeah, see, that right there is not smart. Yeah, yeah. The thwang maneuver. Yeah, Rocket Guy, I see. And the whole stack rocking back and forth in full twang mode. And then pray to little baby Jesus up in the sky that there wouldn't be a problem with the RBUS, such as that it hung up in place and got smashed into the left ohms pod on the orbiter as it was rising away from the pad. And B, the gosh dang Centaur itself wouldn't develop some kind of nightmare issue locked inside of the payload bay, unjettisonable for the full length of the uphill climb into orbit. Sure, sounds great, let's do it. And they were doing it, but they never got the chance with the thing. I mourn the loss of SDS-51L to this day, but I fear had it flown, I would have wound up mourning the loss of a different mission later, one that flew with a fully loaded Centaur on board. So yeah, the thing was never meant to be, and the thing never happened. Interdasting. I mean, okay, little bit of a quip. It's absolutely intended to be in there because they designed it to be in there. if it, I mean, the payload bay, if I'm remembering correctly, the payload bay has a has-gas termination system. It's inerted. Or that could be just the aft orbiter segment. I forget. Anyway, so basically Centaur G bad. Yeah. Cool, Joe. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Now that I'm thinking about it, that RBUS and the Centaur G payload adapter is actually really stupid. I agree with him on that. Because the shuttle stack rocks back and forth, right? How are you going to make an umbilical that can do this? To go with the shuttle. Because the shuttle, when the main engines fire, it's going to go up, and then it's going to come back down, right? So the umbilical is not, the umbilical is going to need to flex, and it's going to need to flex up and to the left. Relative, looking at the shuttle from the side, it's going to need to do this. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's no way they engineered that without knowing, but still. Interesting. Interdasting. I still think Rocket Guy's idea of fueling it via the external tank filling mechanism is a way better idea, but that's just me. Anyway, let's see what's going on with Yusaku Maezawa's announcement. Does anybody have a link to that stuff? More capability breeds more complexity, breeds more risk, breeds more hazards. See, Rocket Guy, yeah, that's absolutely right. And, you know, yeah, that's absolutely right. But also at the same time, like, if you're always going to be afraid to push the envelope, then what's the point? You know what I mean? But then again, an argument could be made to keep space simple, right? And I'd kind of agree with that, yeah. Yusaku Maezawa said he was announcing something at noon today, Pacific time. Let me just go make sure that I saw that right. It's about Dear Moon. So, for the internal fuel lines, how do they not snap when they rotate the stage? They're flexible. They're a flexible line, and it's not like hydrogen. The stage will stay fueled on the ground, Cody. Am I reading this right here? Online meeting with Elon Musk is done. I can make a major announcement about space around the noon of December 8th Pacific time. It's another new announcement of the anniversary, exactly 1 year since the day I left the ISS. Okay. Yeah, I know, would have been smart. So I don't know if this announcement is like supposed to be like, is it going to be streamed or something? Like, I don't even know. Around the noon. Yep. I'm guessing it's the Dear Moon crew announcement. Around... Did he say around the moon or around the noon? Am I stupid? No, he said noon. It's noon Pacific time, though, right? We'll see. See what's good. If there's no stream for this or anything, I'm I don't know. L minus 2 hours. Weather looks good for OneWeb. Yep. But yeah, I'm just going to get back to the shuttle work. Yeah. Yeah. Thomas, interesting. So how about that orbital launch platform concrete at Starbase needing to be replaced again? Hillness, here's my thing, okay? Look, I said this once, I'll say it again. SpaceX is constantly replacing the concrete around the pad, and I think it's really, 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 really funny how people are like, you know, oh, you need a flame diverter. Why don't they have a flame diverter? Wow, they're so stupid, am I right? They definitely need a flame diverter. You definitely need a flame. I think they know that they need a flame diverter, and I think it was more just get the thing working and then figure out a flame diverter after it works. That reads correctly for SpaceX with how they test things. I don't think it's any, like, I love how people, you know, they throw that around like it's some revelation, you know, that, oh, wow, SpaceX isn't doing this, you know. SpaceX isn't doing this. They're going to need to do that. They're going to need to do it. They're going to absolutely need to do it. Yeah, I don't think it's anything we did, you know, like anybody didn't know, you know. Yeah, no, and listen, I'm not saying you said that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm pretty damn sure that they know that they need a flame diverter. I mean, you just, you know, use some logic here for a second, right? If they're replacing the concrete, it's probably a pretty good indicator that they realize they need to do something else other than replacing the concrete every time. But I see people on Twitter that are like, they don't have a flame trench. They have no idea what they're doing. It's like, it's a little strange. Nice. That's cool. What a shot. Joe, that's pretty neat. I mean, we knew they needed a flame diverter at the Starship test. That was like over a year ago. But EJ, we're the internet. We know better. Yeah. But Pythos, my question is that a year ago we didn't even know how many engines Super Heavy would have in the first stage. A year ago, Super Heavy had 29 engines. Now it has 33. So what if they design a flame diverter for 29 engines? Guys, here's the other thing that I was thinking about today. Like I said, I was reading some Twitter thread and some people that are pretty dang smart that are like, SpaceX has no idea what they're doing. And I'm like, they need to replace the concrete again. And people were making jokes about it. I'm sitting there thinking like, yeah, I mean, dude, Pythos, here's the thing. How do you make something survive a 72 meganewton blast? How do you make something survive that? We're talking way past radiation, like rad nuclear hardened bunker. This is way higher than that. Testing. Bingo. Bingo. They ain't gonna know what works. No one's ever tried to make a flame diverter to divert that much gas. No one has ever done that. This is uncharted territory. So what the frick? Dude, guess what? You put a regular flame diverter under that thing, it'll be gone after the first ignition. There will be no flame diverter left. That's how much power. We're talking double SLS's power here. Dude, I think it's cheaper to just pour more concrete right now until you figure out a better solution, right? Like, that's what makes the most sense. Is it at all feasible to carve a trench out of the foundation? I think the rocket engines are doing that just fine, Whooshing. Like, how the heck do you make something divert a blast with a pressure wave from rocket engines that are producing from 33 Raptor engines? How are you going to do that? Dude, I don't know. I have no idea. That's a really good question. You know what I'm saying? Amigo, I was scrolling through Twitter and saw this. Yeah, Space Station Freedom. Yeah, I know. It's in RoboCop. Like, honestly, guys, I think the best solution there is to just hold the rocket high enough up off the pad where you don't need a flame diverter, because, dude, whatever you put down there, you're going to lose. It doesn't matter if it's a flame diverter. It doesn't matter if it's a trench, some conic adapter thing. It does not matter. You will lose it. So the way I look at that thread is, I know the ways I have worked on projects in the past. SpaceX isn't doing it the conventional way, so they have no idea what they're doing. In reality, they know what they're doing, and for a reason unknown to us, decided to push that implementation, and it was deemed rightly so, not critical to current development timelines. Bingo. I mean, Rocket, you said, yeah, that's basically what I'm trying to say. I love the arrogance, man. I love it. I eat that stuff up. That's hilarious to me. Would digging out a hole full of water work? Why would you want to put water underneath a rocket, T-Man? Unless it's sprayed. There's a reason why they spray water on the pad and why a rocket just doesn't fire a rocket engine into a lake. Because water and droplets absorb sound. So rain absorbs sound, right? But if they fired the rocket engine into a pool of water, guess what? Water's incompressible. Bad idea. Very bad idea. Very bad idea. Just chrome plate it. Ask old BMX Thrasher. Chrome makes you able to withstand anything. Chrome gets you home. But why is Starship delayed now? I haven't been paying attention this year. What's going on? Yeah, Kem, okay. Rightly so. I understand why you haven't been paying attention. That's fair. So what's happening, dude, is... man, it's not anything I didn't say before this year. Dude, SpaceX is going to run into problems. They're going to run into all kinds of problems. And I'm not saying this like I know better or anything. I am familiar with the process, though, from Kerbal, but I'd say that building the launch pads and stuff, like in KSP, I think that gives me a pretty good perspective on it. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I know Kerbal so I can build rockets in real life. I'm not, not an engineer. I get that. Long story short, dude, you're running into a lot of problems that are really hard to foresee. And this comes with any super heavy launch vehicle design. Any one of them. Saturn V, N1, Buran, Space Shuttle, Starship, SLS. It takes time. It does not matter how quick you can go. It doesn't matter how fast or how good your company is. Commercial, public, private, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Engineering a super heavy launch vehicle with really, 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 really crazy stakeholder expectations like Starship being fully reusable is going to take a lot of time. It doesn't matter if you're Elon Musk. It doesn't matter if you're Bill Nelson. It does not matter. That is a hard problem to solve. Okay? It's true. Super heavy launch vehicles take time. It takes time. A lot of time. That's the short story, Kem. They're running into problems. There's gonna be problems. And not problems saying that they didn't foresee the problem either. I don't know better. I can tell you that putting 33 engines together like that and trying to get them to play nice with each other is going to... I know enough about rocket science to know that that's a hard problem to solve. And like Rocket Guy was saying, SpaceX probably put the thing together and then said, all right, let's figure out why it's doing this after the fact. So we saw a lot of iteration in the beginning, right? And a lot of boosters and stuff being manufactured. But now you get into the tricky part. This is why SLS took so long to launch in the first place, because NASA was doing all of the analysis first. SpaceX does the analysis as they're building. They do parallel testing and processing. And that affords them rapid iterative. NASA just does all up one shot. And it works. That way seems to work pretty well from what I can tell. You know? It's funny that just 2 years ago, everyone is expecting Starship to fly before SLS. Kem, I could have told you it was going to take this long. In fact, I did. This is what I said. And everybody gave me crap for it. Well, not everybody. I'll say the vast majority of you guys agreed with me, but there were some people that just like to hear themselves talk. Breaking. Dear Moon crew announcement. Oh, here we go. All right, here's the announcement. We're gonna check it, then we're gonna get back into playing KSP. 2200 UTC today.
Wow. ついにこの日がやってまいりました。ディアムーンのクルーを今日は発表したいと思います。I can't miss this opportunity.
That's cake.
My soul is begging for this. It needs this.
Steve Aoki.
I don't know what it's going to do to me emotionally, and I guess that's part of the adventure.
I think that's gonna be a huge encouragement to all the kids that we serve.
I
Wow.
expect that this mission
Didn't
will
see
bring
that one
about
coming.
many changes personally and professionally.
For my whole life, I've looked
Well.
up at the moon and I've thought that while it is so far away, it is also so close.
I'm gonna move out of the way, guys.
I didn't think in a million years I would actually be selected for this.
To create something unimagined yet, we need to experience something unexplored yet.
It'll be fun for everybody to come together and see what everybody creates out of this.
I know that I can inspire everyone, no matter gender, race, language.
I have always fantasized about space and the moon since I was young, and I cannot wait to go to space.
地球から出て月まで行っていろんなことを得ると思うんですけれども、それをやっぱ地球に還元してほしいなっていうのは共通して思います。で、何より自分たちが一番楽しむっていうのが結果として大事なポイントだと思ってるんで、何より楽しんでいきたいなっていうふうに思います。
Well, that was unexpected. Cool. Timmy's on that. That's awesome, dude. So freaking cool. I can't believe this. I can't believe that. Wow. So, if you guys don't know what Dear Moon is something that was started by a guy named Yusaku Maezawa. That was the guy that was speaking Japanese there, sitting next to the koi pond and stuff. He's a what does he do? He's an art dealer out of Japan, and he has put a lot of personal funding towards Starship, and part of that is doing what's called the Dear Moon mission. Dear Moon mission is a Starship mission in the future that will it's a Starship mission in the future that's going to do an Apollo 8 style trajectory around the moon. But the idea is that the crew on board isn't going to be astronauts, or don't get me wrong, there probably will be a SpaceX astronaut or something on board, like a commercial astronaut. But the idea is to bring artists up there and stuff, artists and filmmakers and stuff to give us a perspective on space that we don't normally get, which is very interesting. Oof. Yeah, Tim's in it. That's cool, huh? That's gonna be insane. Brutal. Yeah. Dude, that's cool, man. I didn't apply for that, but yeah, I guess Tim did, dude. He got selected. I can't believe that. That's amazing. RS1T0 is 2200 UTC today. Yep, I heard it, and I replied to you the first time you said it. Here, Jim, check this video out. Why didn't you apply? I forgot. To be honest with you, I freaking forgot. Miss 100% of the shots you don't take, though, am I right? He better bring his astronaut suit up to specs. Yeah, indeed. I think that's a flight suit, a Russian flight suit, if I'm remembering right. You're on the second one, right? I don't know. I guess I'm just glad someone from the spaceflight community is on it. Yeah. Yep. I thought it was a shuttle flight suit. Why would Tim get a shuttle flight suit? Yeah, retired Forge. Yeah, it's been retired for a long time. I remember when Tim was just starting out with his Twitch channel. Yeah. Pretty cool, man. Pretty freaking cool. It's a Russian flight suit, Creeper. It's not Aces. It's not a shuttle flight suit, dude. Sorry. I don't mean to burst your bubble there. I was bummed when he lost out on the Blue Origin flight because I knew he would make the best content out of it. I can't wait to see what comes from this. Yeah. Yeah, here we go. Space Force. Space Force. Nice shirt. Thank you. Is it just a flyby? It's just a flyby, Zombie, yeah. What happened with Tim and the Blue Origin flight? He didn't get selected for the New Shepard flight. Just a flyby. Yeah, I know, right? Let's be honest, if you got selected, you'd have to go dark until the announcement because you wouldn't be able to hold it in. Sure about that? No, I wasn't selected for Deer Moon, guys, if that's what you're asking. But you remember, that wasn't the context of the question. The context of the question was being able to, you know, keep information in. What are you holding in? Can't tell you. I don't know what you're talking about. It's not KSP 2. No, I haven't played it. It's alright. What are you hiding from us? You're gonna have to wait and find out. And I hate being the, well, you're gonna have to find out and see. Some of this stuff I can't talk about. How's it going? It's going good, Jensen. Everything is going good. Not really, Dread. It's more of the, you know, I don't like counting my chickens before they hatch. You know what I'm saying? You'll find out when it happens. What did I miss? Tim Dodd got selected for Deer Moon, Jensen. Yeah, Timmy. That's really cool. So the announcement for Deer Moon was the announcement of the Deer Moon crew, and Tim Dodd's on it, which is actually pretty cool. All right, then, keep your secrets. Oh, I will. He's on there. Steve Aoki is on there, which is pretty cool. And then there was a bunch of other people that I really don't know. I don't know any of the other people. I only know Tim and Steve Aoki. Are you planning to go to Wilds for the Electron launch? Ran out of time, Jim. Priorities. Ran out of time, dude. Yeah, Kim. Mm-hmm. Yeah. As Das put it, there's a lot of irons in the fire right now. So, we'll see where it takes us. I don't want to talk. Dude, I probably could say, but I'm not going to. I don't like talking about stuff before it, you know, like if it's on a whim or something, you know what I mean? Like if it's up to chance, I don't like talking about it. It's just bad juju. You're becoming a Canadiens fan. Why would you think that? Is Bezos keeping a seat open for you? That would be cool, PBR, but no, I don't think so. Anyway. They just made the video private. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Did you have a meeting with Elon? No. Nah, that'd be cool, though. Has Isaac been keeping a seat open for you? Creeper, I don't have that much pull. I wish I had that much pull. You'll see. You guys will never get it. You guys will never. You're never going to guess it. I'll be honest with you. You'll never guess. You'll never guess it. It's probably because it's not as cool as I'm making it out to be, but whatever. Is it space related at all? I have a couple things in the fire right now, Balxy, that are space related, yes. Just not in the way that you might think. Just got back. What happened through the announcement? There was a video that supposedly was the Dear Moon Crew announcement, Zay, but it just got privated. Interesting. Weed, that'd be great. You're building your own moon rocket in your garage. No. I think we weren't supposed to watch that video yet. Probably. They privated the video. Somebody found the listing. It was unlisted and someone found it. So take all that information with a grain of salt, guys, about Tim and Steve and everybody else. Oops, shucks. Yeah, just unlearn all that information for me if you could. Bill Kerman, sorry this is off topic, but you mentioned in a previous stream that launching a rescue mission was a bad idea in spaceflight. But I'm wondering if you know, for the Skylab program, they actually built 5 crew Apollo CSMs and had it standing by to mount a rescue in the event one couldn't return from Earth. If I recall correctly, they even rolled it out to the pad briefly while Skylab 3 CSM developed issues with its RCS thruster quads, but they ended up not needing it. Yeah, Bill Kerman, that's actually a good question. That question is in the context of a space shuttle. Dealing with some small problems with the RCS quads is not that big of a deal because you have 4 of them. It's technically quadruple redundant. Dealing with a hole in your thermal protection system that potentially could be something that happens from the vehicle being launched is a little bit of a different story. I guess it depends on the severity of what the problem is. You gotta remember, the context of sending a rescue mission was in the context of shuttles. With capsules, but you can be damn sure if there was a problem with the heat shield on a capsule that they'd be careful to launch the next capsule because you don't know if that problem with the heat shield happened from ascent. Yeah, that's in the context of the space shuttle, dude. With capsules, yeah, like Skylab rescue missions, oh yeah. They have another capsule ready to go. Oh, I see. Thanks for clarifying that. Yeah, Bill, I guess the real big story there is that context matters. And that's why you wouldn't want to launch another shuttle. Okay? So Columbia goes up, they have a problem. You can't prove, it's more about proving it. You have to verify what's going on. They knew something hit the thermal protection system, but they weren't sure of the severity of that, okay? They weren't certain how do you know? Could have been nothing. Could be nothing. Could be a hole in the tiles. You don't know. How did that problem happen? Was it a problem with how the external tank was made? Is it a manufacturing problem with the ET? Is it a problem with how that tank, is it a design problem? Have you seen this behavior before? You don't want to go and launch another shuttle before you figure all that stuff out. Because if the problem is from ET design, right, then you're going to launch another shuttle and it's going to poke another hole in the thermal protection system. How did this problem happen? How did it transpire? What came to be? What's the problem? What's the source? Now, in the case of STS-107, what happened is that STS-107 scrubbed a bunch of times. It scrubbed like 6 or 7 times. And the external tank basically wasn't designed to be filled up that many times. That's the short story. And it ended up cracking the foam on the forward bipod ramp on the external tank. And some of that came off and hit the wing. Simple as that. It's that. That's the really, really, really short story. I could get into more details, but that's the short story. Now, so it was a design problem from the external tank. And if they had gone and launched a rescue mission, well, guess what? That tank had the same exact bipod ramp. How do you know that problem's not going to happen again? You're going to strand 2 shuttles in space. See what I mean? See what I'm talking about? In the context of the shuttle, sending a rescue mission was an extremely bad idea. It's a bad idea until you prove that this was an isolated incident. You can't let this, you can't let your gut influence your judgment here. You have to figure it out with data. And the anomalous resolution team, while STS-107 was on board, got scrubbed because some bonehead at NASA said, nah, we don't need to do this. Nah, it's fine. Somebody at NASA had some real middle management. Nah, this is a waste of time. Well, why is it a waste of time? It's a waste of time because I think it's a waste of time. Everything's fine. Yeah, that behavior right there, that's the problem. See what I'm talking about? That type of behavior is why Challenger parts are being found in the ocean 30 years later. Or almost 40 years later, but you get the idea. So, in the context of STS-107, with how NASA was working at the time, launching another shuttle would be really stupid until you figure out that problem is isolated to that one shuttle stack. It's only Columbia that has the problem. See what I'm saying? Now, with Skylab, yeah, they had some problems with the RCS, but the RCS problems are very easy to solve because honestly, okay, you go up there, the RCS malfunctions, like, you know, there's ways to get around it. You have redundant thrusters. You don't have a redundant thermal protection system with the shuttle. See what I'm talking about? And this is flight controller 101. You really got to figure out what's going on. You have to figure out, you know, is this data, you're getting anomalous data, right? The data and telemetry from the craft is telling you something is wrong. Even then, you have to make sure that data is right because you could have a bad sensor. Just like what happened with SLS, with engine 3. The DFI sensor was bad on engine 3, and a nominal engine bleed was showing that it was bad. See what I'm saying? Like, this stuff gets so complicated so fast. In the context of 107, launching another shuttle, just launch another shuttle. That's a bad idea. Because, honestly, you'd put that same exact shuttle and that same exact crew in danger of being stranded as well because you haven't figured out what caused that problem yet. See what I mean? It's like IT troubleshooting to the next level. Like, you're rolling the dice. Instead of, like, you know, Bob in accounting not being able to access his email, people die. You know what I mean? Like, you really got to be careful. What baffles my brain is how an EV suit and tether wasn't standard equipment on every single flight. There's no version of going into space where you shouldn't have the ability to go outside the spacecraft in case you need to go look at something. Dragon doesn't fly with EVA suits. I mean, Caveman, you're right, but that's an incredibly easy thing to say in light of the failures that were presented to you. It's very easy to say stuff in hindsight, you know what I mean? So was it a design problem with the ET, or was it the fact that it fueled up too many times? Fueling up too many times caused parts to work in an off-nominal way because they weren't tested correctly. The forward bipod ramp on the external tank was cavitating. The foam was cavitating. Basically, it was cracking. It was cracking on certain parts of the vehicle because the tank was tanked too many times. Now, with that being said, you know, Cody, you'd say, oh, well, they changed it, right? Well, yeah, they changed it, right? They changed it because they opted for a design where the external tank could be tanked more. So you wouldn't have this problem ever again. Does that make sense? Even if they sent a rescue, wouldn't someone have to sacrifice themselves to pilot it back into the atmosphere so not as to leave a shuttle attached to the ISS forever? No, Creeper, that's... Columbia wasn't at the ISS. It was in a 27-degree inclined orbit at 270 miles. No. 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 That's completely wrong. And the shuttle could be hot-wired to automatically land. Sorry, Buran fans. The shuttle had that capability the entire time. They just never talk about it. Wouldn't they have been able to figure out that repeatedly loading and unloading the tank was an issue in time to launch a second orbiter? Well, Bill, if you go read the accident investigation report, they were basically trying to figure that out, and some idiot in NASA's middle management said, don't do this, this is a waste of time, the shuttle's fine. Seriously, that's what happened. Go read the Columbia Accident Investigation Report. It's CAIB. Just Google CAIB NASA. Read it. It'll piss you off. Like, if you're a spaceflight fan, it'll make you really mad. There's some really idiotic idiotic decisions being made. Yeah, Rocket. Just like the bonehead in 1986 that said launch it in the cold while it's windy. Everything will be fine. Everything will be fine, they said. Well, guess what? Yeah, that's just your opinion. If you don't have any numbers to back it up, get the frick out of here. You shouldn't be here. Where are these people now? Don't know. Well, that's just like your opinion, man. That's just like your opinion, man. Not sure if you've seen this before, but it's really it's a really interesting to just how many close calls there's been in spaceflight. Interesting to see just how many close calls there have been in spaceflight. Yes. Yeah, Weed, exactly. You can't be a Monday morning quarterback at NASA. That's how people die. And NASA, everybody that works at NASA, especially in light of 1986 and 2003, gets this drilled into their freaking head. Don't do that. Just don't leave it up to chance. Don't do that. That's a very, very stupid idea. Is the ABL launch on your radar for coverage today, or is it just the SpaceX launch? If ABL streams it, sure. That's a great picture as well. Me gusta. I mean, here's the thing. Like, they're not guessing either. That's the whole point of the data, right? That's the whole point. The whole point is to use the numbers to understand how physics is going to work and understand what's going to happen. That's preliminary analysis. You have to do that. That's what's keeping SpaceX from launching right now. They have to do analysis. They have to figure out what the frick they frickin' made. That thing is complicated, man. You know? The ABL launch will not be streamed. Shame. So how did they not know the amount of refueling the ET needed before needing to be refurbished? Problem never happened before. The problem never happened before, Cody. This problem never happened. They never encountered a mission that scrubbed that many times. Hey, Riven, what's going on? Yeah, they never encountered that problem. And Cody, this is what I mean about analysis. In hindsight, it's really easy to say like, oh, don't you think that you should make sure the tank can be filled up like 10, 20, 30 times before you do that? Because what if a shuttle mission scrubs? Well, they weren't planning on doing that. They were planning on the shuttle to be reliable enough to basically launch in whatever condition, like an airplane, right? And this is what I always say. The testing and analysis done on the shuttle initially was nowhere near good enough. And that is not a reflection, that's not a reflection of the design. I think the design's great. I think the shuttle's amazing. It's an amazing piece of equipment, and they could have gotten it to the point to launch it every week. I firmly believe that. Even with the tank, the foam, the tiles, all that. Oh yeah, it could be made reliable. It would have taken some money to do it, but yeah. The testing was nowhere near good enough. Nowhere near good enough. Not even close. And that's why they had all those teething problems, dude. So, long story short, don't underfund stuff with NASA. Don't underfund it when it's being developed, because then you're going to get terrible analysis and then problems happen during operational missions. It's kind of funny how that works. Same thing Frank Borman said after the Apollo 1 tragedy. We just didn't know. Yeah, Tech, but the thing is that they did know. The Apollo 1 crew knew what was going on. They knew it was a dangerous situation and nobody listened to them. Was SLS ever at risk by how many times it scrubbed? Nope. Not even close, zombie. Nope. You know why? Because we have the hindsight from that. In fact, during the press conferences, dude, I remember watching this. After the green run and all the wet dress rehearsals, I remember people asking questions about this. How many times can that external tank be tanked before the foam starts coming off, before stuff starts going wrong, before you start getting cracks? And NASA said they designed the tank to make sure that, you know, if the mission scrubs a bunch of times, it scrubs a bunch of times. That happens. I think that core stage 1 was rated for like 22 tankings or something, and they were at like 16 or 17 when it launched. See what I mean about analysis? This analysis should have been done. It should have. That's if you want to play like we should have done that. Should have done more testing with the shuttle. That was the problem. I'm having a great time. I'm going to watch how rockets are built and launched into the infinite space. Cool, Riven. Right on. They know now with SLS, but they know now with SLS. Think it's 9 times before refurbishment. Are you guessing, or do you know that? Should test D's more. Got him. All right. Somebody redeemed a garage stretch break, so we'll go do a garage stretch break, and then we'll belt out that Centaur. We need to get that done.